Welcome to the JTP Sports Podcast. We want to give a big shout out to the guys from the Black Light for the theme music intro to the show. It's available on all streaming services, and you can check them out at the Black Music on Instagram. You can also find more information for them in the pod description.
Welcome to the show, everyone. It's that time once again. Football is upon us. In this episode, we'll break down each game for Week 1 and give you our picks versus the spread. I am here with Joey.
How's it going?
And Ted.
What's up, all?
I am Paul, and here we go. Joey, what is our first game this week?
First game, Week 1. The NFL starts off the schedule with the two current oldest rivals in the NFL. The Green Bay Packers come down to Lake Michigan's shorefront to battle the Chicago Bears. It is a 3-point spread in favor of the Chicago Bears, which for those of you who know a little something about gambling means that the bookers didn't really know what to do with this game. So if I'm going to go ahead and start this off, I easily taking that 3 points. I think the Bears are winning this game. I'm not going away. I think they win this game. I've said it before. I could see this being a touchdown game. I could see this being 3 points, but I like the Bears opening the season at home.
All right, Ted, who do you got in that?
I've also got the Chicago Bears.
Okay, I'm actually going against the grain here a little bit. Yeah, so I'm picking the Packers to actually cover. And if you guys listen to our other episode where we discussed the Packers and the Bears this upcoming season, we did previews for the teams, I am convinced that the Bears and Packers are going to play to a 1-1 draw this year. And I just cannot predict this game. This game is always crazy, or these games are always crazy between these two teams. This is going to be the 100-year anniversary. The Packers are coming out with a new offense, a la LA Rams. Sean McVay offensive look. We'll see how it looks any different and how it goes up against this Bears defense. But I'm just not convinced that the Bears are going to cover that 3 points. I'm picking the Packers. Ted, what is our first game on Sunday?
So that's going to be Atlanta versus Minnesota. The Falcons are coming in to Minnesota to play the Vikings there. The line for Minnesota is -4. And my pick, actually, I'm picking against the grain here. I think Atlanta's going to come in there and they're going to win. I like the matchup here for Atlanta versus Minnesota. I think Atlanta's going to be able to fling it pretty high with Julio Jones being on field for that game. And I don't think that Minnesota is going to actually come back and be the victor in that game. I think Atlanta's got this probably by a touchdown. So I'm feeling pretty confident about Atlanta.
Well, Joey, what do you got for this one?
I disagree. I think the Vikings are trying to prove a little something in this first game with the new offensive coordinator and hit the ground running. If Atlanta's defense is anywhere near as mediocre as it was last year, Minnesota could probably run the ball fairly easily. So I like Minnesota at home. With the 4, I can see this being a touchdown game.
I'm actually going to agree with Ted on this game. I'm not overly convinced that Minnesota is a playoff team this year. I have a feeling that Atlanta is going to come out this year and actually do a lot better than some people have them predicted. I think I have them with 9 or 10 wins this year. I think it starts here. I like their air attack and their offense versus this kind of slower, older Minnesota defense. I know it's in Minnesota, but this game I guess is kind of close because Minnesota is only a 4-point favorite at home. I'm going to take the Falcons to cover, or the Falcons +4. The next game on our schedule is Washington at Philadelphia. The Redskins are coming into Philly. The line is 9.5 for Philly. I don't know what's going to happen here because of how Washington looks. They haven't looked very good lately. I'm taking Philly -9.5 here. Ted, how do you see this playing out? Who's your pick?
Oh, well, as a Washington, D.C. local, I am firmly picking Philadelphia on this one. I think they're gonna kick ass in this game. I think I think they could easily win by 10 points, maybe even more.
I'll double down on that. I can very easily see the Eagles putting 8 in the box and making case Case Keenum fling the ball around to their collection of nobodies out on the outside as far as receivers are concerned. I could easily see if this was a 12.5 point spread, I'd still take Philadelphia.
Yeah, I agree. I think Philadelphia covers this all day. I have no problems picking them. That takes us to Game 3 on Sunday. Joey, who's that?
So this one is the Battle of New York, one side of the state to the other, where the Buffalo Bills come down, actually technically New Jersey, to battle the New York Jets. It's a 3 point. That's 3 points in favor of the Jets, and we've discussed this before. I think all of us are kind of a little high on the Jets' prospects this season as far as improving from last year. So I like them with these 3 points. I mean, I could even see them winning by a full touchdown.
So I agree that the Jets are going to be the team here. I think Sam Darnold in his second year is going to be much improved compared to last year, and so I'm definitely taking the Jets on this one.
Yeah, it's a clean sweep for us. I also got the Jets. Like you alluded to, Joey, I like what is going on there and the direction they're headed. I like Buffalo a little bit as well. I just don't like them more than the Jets. It's only a 3 point line, so I'm taking the Jets plus the points. Ted, who is up next?
Next game up is the Baltimore Ravens at the Miami Dolphins. Vegas has the line as minus 6.5 for Baltimore, but I've actually got Miami to be the team here. I think it's going to be a close one. I think Baltimore's going to win, but only by 3 points.
I firmly, to steal this one from Ted, firmly disagree on that. And this has nothing to do with my full-on chugging of the Lamar Kool-Aid. I just think that the Baltimore running game is going to dominate this game. I don't know that Miami necessarily is going to be able to keep up with them. And, you know, Miami's offense took a huge hit losing their all-pro left tackle and their most consistent wide receiver. I think Fitzmagic is going to run into a lot of trouble this week. 6.5 for me is an easy pick for Baltimore.
I struggled immensely with this game because I really want to pick against Baltimore. I hate what they have on offense. I hate it with a passion. I don't want to see it. I don't want to watch it, even though I'm going to be forced to have to watch it every week, and I'm going to hate it. But alluding to what you just said, Joey, like Miami just sold everybody. There's nothing on that team. I just can't make a case for picking Miami here. I wouldn't be shocked if something crazy happens and they end up covering that number somehow, but I just don't see it. I have to go with Baltimore on this one. That takes us to the next game on the schedule for Sunday. It's the Chiefs going in to Jacksonville. And the line on this one has me scratching my head a little bit. KC is a 4-point favorite. I'm picking KC all day here. I don't see why they would have any problems. I know that Jacksonville's defense is still pretty solid and they got those 2 corners, but 4? I don't know. How do you guys see this going?
I kind of understand why it's 4. It's a home opener for Jacksonville. Jacksonville's able to run the ball, slow it down. Nick Foles is a pretty solid game manager. I think the Jacksonville coaching staff will know that the only way they stand a chance in this game is to grind it out, slow it down, make it almost to what you were alluding to with Baltimore, and make it almost unwatchable. I don't think that matters. I think Kansas City runs up and down the field whenever they have the ball anyway. I know how good Jalen Ramsey is, but he's only able to cover so much, and Kansas City has too many weapons. I think 4 is kind of low for me, and I'm picking the Chiefs.
All right, Ted, are we making it a clean sweep? Do you have KC as well?
We're making it a clean sweep. I don't see. I'm also scratching my head here. I think on a really, really good day, if everything's going Jacksonville's way, they might be able to keep it close. But I just see too many offensive weapons on Chiefs' team for them not to run away in this game. So I've got KC easily here.
So the next game on the slate, the Tennessee Titans are going into Cleveland to play Ted's Super Bowl favorite Cleveland Browns. It's a 5.5 point spread in Cleveland's favor. I'm just not high on what I saw out of Tennessee. I was a big Marcus Mariota fan coming out of college. I just don't know if his body's ever going to be right. And then their backup is Ryan Tannehill, who's always been good, never great. They're missing their standout left tackle. Derrick Henry is recovering from an injury. All these things are leading me to easily lean towards Cleveland, their home opener.
Oh, and I fully agree with that. I know that this is going to be a year, the contract year for Marcus Mariota. It's going to be something that he's going to be thinking about every game this season, about how he's got to prove himself. Just don't see him doing it, against Cleveland here. So I've got Cleveland.
I'm just not as confident as you guys are. On paper, I like Cleveland a lot more, and I may be, kicking myself in the butt after this one, but I'm just picking Tennessee to cover here. I'm just not convinced that Cleveland on day one is going to come out hitting on all cylinders. I know it's a home opener, and Tennessee, I think, is a little bit better than people think they are. They're probably going to be close to a 500 team. I mean, their over-under win projection for the year is 8. If they're going to get to that number, they probably need to start with a really good showing or a win here. I'm just going to pick them to cover. We'll see how it plays out. Ted, who's up next?
Well, up next is the Rams versus the Panthers. This is a game where the Rams are going to come in and play the Panthers for their home opener with a 3-point advantage. And this one was a little bit of a head scratcher for me. I think the Rams are going to easily win this game. I think 3 points is a surprise that it's so low. I think they should be favored by at least a touchdown. I just don't think that Carolina, even with a supposedly healthy Cam Newton, I don't think they have enough weapons there to keep up with the Rams. And so I've got the Rams all the way on this one.
Well, sound the nutbag alarm. I've got Carolina winning this game. Not just covering. I've got them winning. Wow. I kind of feel like this is going to be a game where Cam Newton wants to show the NFL that he's healthy. I think he wills them to this game, finding ways to make throws that will remind people of his MVP season. I don't know why. Something about this is making me lean towards the Panthers winning this game out, not just covering, but winning outright at home.
I think this is the game where Cam Newton meets Superman, and his name is Aaron Donald. I don't think he does much of anything. I was also scratching my head as to why this line is 3. Joe, you alluded to before or earlier before we started recording that this is probably just a week 1 line, and you actually like Carolina. I don't. I'm taking the Rams here all day. Brings us to Cincinnati going into Seattle, a tough place to play, but the line is pretty crazy too. Seattle is a 9.5 point favorite. I don't have any faith in Cincinnati. I love Russell Wilson and Seattle. They just picked up Clowney in a trade, so their defense is a little bit better. It's also in Seattle, opening week. I'm picking Seattle to cover. Joey, what do you got?
A little bit better. They pick up Clowney and they got a little bit better. I think they put Clowney on the outside. They may not know exactly how to implement him, but I think they tell him to pin his ears back and go get Andy Dalton. I don't know that you can say that Cincinnati's offense is anything better than slightly above average. I think Clowney goes to town. I could very easily see him having 2.5 sacks in this game and just making Andy Dalton's life miserable, which sucks for me as a guy who has Tyler Boyd on his fantasy team. But I think Seattle puts a whooping on Cincinnati and to open the season.
Ted, do you agree?
Well, I think Seattle's definitely going to win this one. I don't know. I feel like the 9.5 points is a little generous, though. I know that they just did their equivalent of the Mac trade, getting Clowney before week 1 here, and we'll see how they implement him. Maybe he rolls in there and he does get 2.5, 3 sacks. Or maybe they struggle to implement him, and along with the Seahawks wide receiving core, I think the wide receiving core has taken a step back from last year. So they're a strong team, strong defensively, strong on the run game, strong at home. They're definitely going to win this game, but are they going to cover that 9.5 points? I don't know. I don't think so. So I've got Cincinnati actually.
Wow. Okay. Wow. Joey, who do we got next?
That's nuttier than my Carolina pick. I don't care what you say.
It's a big number, though. It's a big number. You're 3-point Carolina.
Not arguing that at all. All right, so
Seattle by 7.
It could be.
So the next game on the schedule is Indianapolis Colts with their newly minted $15 million a year man Jacoby Brissett going to LA. This still feels weird to say, to play the Chargers. The Chargers are given 6.5, and I still think that's low. I think Phillip Rivers is going to be able to do what he wants against it's a decent Indianapolis defense. They're probably going to finish in in the top 10 by the end of the year. But this is a home opener. I think Phillip Rivers is. I think they've got something to prove with Melvin Gordon's contract extension. This might be a moment where he's kind of saying, "Hey, Melvin, we don't miss you," and they go out. I mean, I could easily see them winning by 10 in this game. So I've got the Chargers.
And I've also got the Chargers, and I can also see them winning by about 10 points. I mean, with the retirement of Andrew Luck, that team, and that retirement just seemed to catch that team off guard. It just seemed very, very strange timing, basically. And so I don't know how that team is actually going to cope with it and come into here week one. I think it's going to take them a little bit of time to gel through the season. But Phillip Rivers, talking to what you just said, Joey, I think him and that team are definitely gonna look to prove that they're the team in the AFC this year and that they're gonna go all the way. So I've got the Chargers all the way here.
I do as well for a clean sweep for us. We're all picking the Chargers. I don't think Indy's going to be as bad as some people may be making them out to be. I know Brissett is coming in there now for Luck after the retirement, and I agree with you, Ted. The timing was really odd. I mean, it just happened, a couple of weeks before the start of the season, but I don't see them having much of a chance going down to LA week one. Basically, he's been there before, he's done it before, but it's basically a new quarterback. No one was expecting Brissett. I know I wasn't, and you guys know I wasn't expecting anybody other than Luck to be playing for Indy this year. So I agree with you guys. I think the Chargers try to make a statement. They take this game, they cover the number. Ted, who do we got next?
We've got the 49ers coming into town to play the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This is a pick'em game, and I am going to pick Tampa Bay for this. I think that the 49ers are a little bit, with Jimmy Garoppolo back in and healthy, are a little bit inconsistent, at least in what I've been able to see so far out of preseason, out of Jimmy Garoppolo. He's been a little uneven, so I think this is going to be an interesting one. But Tampa Bay, I think it's at home with so much for Jameis Winston to prove, and with the personnel changes that they've had there on the team, I think they're going to take this one.
See, just because this is a pick'em, I understand why. I could very easily see this being a video game kind of score where they're both going up and down the field, and I'm leaning towards the Niners in this, and the only reason why is I think Shanahan is going to have a better feel on what his team is able to do going into his second year. I think when all is said and done, Bruce Arians is probably a better all-around coach, but this is his first real game with his new team. Again, I think this is going to be a fun game to watch, but I just think San Francisco is going to be able to pull this one out.
I agree with both of you guys, but I am leaning towards Tampa along with Ted here. I think that Arians comes out trying to make a statement in week one. Winston's got to make a statement. He's in his contract year. They do have the offensive weapons on the outside. I don't think there's going to be much defense played in this game. I agree with you, Joey, that this is probably going to be video game numbers. I wouldn't be surprised if this is a 38-35 game, but I'm leaning towards Tampa taking this in Arians' debut, winning week one. That takes us to Detroit at Arizona. Detroit is a 2.5-point favorite on the road versus the Cardinals. I would not be surprised if Arizona covers that and actually wins this game outright, but I'm picking the Lions here. I just think that, with what we've seen from Arizona through the preseason, with a new coach, this whole air raid system coming into play, with Murray struggling so far, I just don't have any luck, and until I see it, I'm not going with Arizona. Detroit is in the second season of the Matt Patricia regime there. I like the offensive coordinator they brought in. I have a little bit more faith in the Lions here than I do in Arizona, so I'm taking the Lions to cover and win this game. Joey, who do you got?
I've got Detroit winning this one comfortably, actually. I just think that Arizona's defense got dinged around in this preseason. They suffered some injuries. I feel like there might be a suspension in there somewhere. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I know they lost some pieces for the first few games of the season. As we've discussed previously, Matt Patricia's probably looking at this as a come out and prove it kind of game. His background is in defense for obvious reasons. He was, whether or not you want to give him any credit being in New England and that defense being as good as it was. Bill Belichick said so. I'm not going to argue with that guy. I think he devises a way to make Kyler Murray look really, really bad in his first start. So I'm 2.5 for me is not enough. I could very easily see them winning this by 10, just on the strength of Detroit's weaponry on offense and being able to get it done on defense at both sides of the ball, taking this game over.
Yeah, and I agree with you guys. I think also along with you, Joey, that Detroit's got this comfortably by probably at least 7. I was surprised that it was just a 2.5-point favorite, but they've got, just great weapons on offense with Galladay, Amendola. They got Marvin Jones. Matt Stafford has been stellar in his career. And then on defense, too, they added Trey Flowers. I think with that defense, they're going to harass and make Kyler Murray uncomfortable. He's a rookie quarterback. This is a brand new air raid system for the rest of the veterans that have been on that team. And I think the timings seem to be off in the preseason. I think that's just going to be exacerbated by the harassment that the Detroit defense is going to give them. I hate to say that, but that I think is what's going to happen. And so I've got Detroit comfortably here.
So up next, we've got an NFC East rivalry where the Giants go down to Dallas to play the Cowboys. Dallas is giving 7, and I'm not going to argue with that line at all. As a matter of fact, I could very easily see this landing right at the 7. Because as the three of us have discussed prior, the NFC East, sometimes those games are either unwatchable or stupidly competitive for some reason. But I think Dallas wins this game. I think the 7 is apt. It wouldn't surprise me if it's more than that. But, given the familiarity with these two teams, I think 7 is probably the right number. So I'm taking Dallas in the 7.
And I'm also taking Dallas. I think, just like you said, Joey, I think this could be a push. But I think the Dallas team has the offensive weaponry that they need to score more than 7 here. So I could see it being 10 or more, especially at a Dallas Cowboys home opener. So I'm going with Dallas.
Yeah, I disagree with both of you guys. I just think the Giants cover here. And I might be crazy, but I think with Zeke being out, that is very much altering to the Dallas offense and how they go about things. The backup they have there is just not the same type of player, and I think they're going to struggle a little bit. And if you guys remember to last year, the Giants actually put it on Dallas, more than once in that season. If it wasn't for their horrible secondary and their defense, they would have won that last game of the year as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if this is a shootout type game. I don't think either defense. Obviously, I think Dallas is a better team, but I don't think either team has a great defense with the advantage to Dallas. I just think the Giants are going to surprise some people here on opening week and actually cover this. I still think Dallas wins it. I just don't think they win it by more than 8. So I'm taking the Giants. Ted, who's our last game on Sunday?
Last game on Sunday is the Pittsburgh Steelers coming in to play the New England Patriots on a Sunday night football game, primetime. So right now the Vegas line here has -6 for New England. They're the favorites. And my pick actually is going to be Pittsburgh here. I don't think that New England beats that line. I think that they will win this game, but I think it's going to be a close one. This is going to be, I think, closer to New England winning by a field goal. So I just see this as a game where Pittsburgh's not going to let New England in to harass Ben Roethlisberger. He's going to spread the ball around, but they're still going to run into maybe some stops and starts here, and it's going to go back and forth between these two teams. I think it's going to be a battle all night. So I do have Pittsburgh here, and with New England winning just by 3.
See, I've also got Pittsburgh covering the spread, but I've also got them winning. I kind of feel like they've got some bulletin board material that they're going to feed off of, and it didn't come from the New England Patriots. It's coming from their old friend across the country in Oakland. I kind of feel like Juju and Big Ben are going to do everything they can to shoot the double bird to their old friend AB out there and say, we don't need you. We're not even thinking about you, despite the fact that I clearly think they're going to be. So I see Big Ben airing this out, despite the fact that obviously Ted thinks he's 1 foot in the grave. I really believe that Pittsburgh goes out there and lights up the sky on Sunday night and wins this game.
Yeah, I agree with Joey here. I like Pittsburgh. I don't know if they're going to win. I think it's going to be close. I think they covered a number. I just don't think. I think a lot of people are sleeping on this team a little bit because AB is gone now and Bell is gone now. I still think they have the players. I think, Connor is still there, and he put up very similar stats to Bell last year as opposed to 2 years ago. And I think Juju Smith-Schuster is a much better player than people think he is. He actually had more catches on, I believe, less targets last year, but very similar yardage. Definitely less touchdowns than AB had, but I think they kind of pick up where they left off last year and just keep it rolling. I think they covered a number. All right, that takes us to Monday night, a double header. The first game on Monday is the Texans going into the Superdome to face the Saints. The line is the Saints by a touchdown. My pick is for Houston to cover this game. I know they just traded Clowney away for a couple of linebackers and some picks and a bunch of other stuff that's been going on with them, and they also picked up the wideout from Miami and the tackle from Miami. I think this team was my pick to win their division this year. I think they surprised some people and come in and at least cover the number. I don't think they win this game. I think New Orleans still wins this game, but I wouldn't be surprised if Houston won it. Picking Houston to cover the number. Joey, who do you have?
I've also got Houston covering. For anybody who may have listened to one of our previous pods, I think this is a Super Bowl preview. But I do think New Orleans probably wins this game at home, but I think Houston covers. I think this is going to be one of the more fun games to watch all season. I think Deshaun Watson's going to flourish with the chance to not get blindsided every other time he drops back. Laramie Tunsil, if he's healthy all year, that's just one less thing for Deshaun Watson to worry about. Laramie Tunsil is the goods at left tackle, so he's going to make life a whole lot easier for Deshaun Watson. I still think New Orleans wins this game. Like I said, I agree with you, Paul, but I think Houston covers, but they don't win.
Right. For me, this is going to be an interesting game. I do have New Orleans winning this one, but I could see this being a push. It's going to be interesting with Houston coming in because they just got Carlos Hyde to add some depth to their running back core. We have Lamar Miller out with that gruesome injury, so it's going to be interesting to see what they're doing on the ground there. But I mean, this is New Orleans at home. Drew Brees, kind of at the twilight of his career, but still very good, with some great weapons on that team. So I've got New Orleans in this one.
A little surprised. You think New Orleans is going to win by 8, but they definitely could. Joey, one more game left on Monday. Who is playing who?
The marquee game, baby. We've got the Denver Broncos going into the black hole to face the hard-knock darlings, Oakland Raiders. Oakland's getting all of 1 point, so that tells you what everyone thinks of this Oakland Raiders team. I like Oakland in this game. I think Chucky finds a way to outmaneuver Vic Fangio. I don't think this is going to be pleasant to watch by any stretch of the imagination. I can very easily see this being a 17-9 slog fest, but I think Oakland wins this game.
Ted, who do you got?
I disagree with that. Yeah, I disagree with that. I think that Denver's going to come in there and they're going to win. I know this is their home opener, and home openers are a little goofy, but I don't have any faith in the Raiders, and I think Denver, for all the faults that people attribute to Joe Flacco and maybe some of the lackluster offensive pieces that they have, I think they're going to find a way to stay on top of Oakland here and certainly win this game.
Yeah, I think Oakland is a better team today where last year it couldn't get much worse. I think they are improved. I'm picking them to win 6 games or so this year. But I agree with Ted. I think Fangio actually figures out Chucky here. And Denver shows up. That defense is going to be very good this year. They were not too bad last year without Fangio. Now Fangio coming in, I think he makes them a little bit better. I think they find a way and figure out how to stop that new look Oakland offense. They do have Tyrell Williams and AB on the outside. Who knows if AB's back at full strength with that foot issue he's been dealing with all summer. We'll see how it goes. I wouldn't be surprised if they get a TD in there between Carr and AB, but I think Denver has enough offense and a good enough defense to be able to handle Oakland. So I'm picking Denver to win this one outright. All right, that covers our picks. The last thing I wanted to ask you guys here, outside of the Packers and Bears game, guys, which everyone's going to be watching, it's a season opener and a doubleheader on Monday night. which game are you looking forward to most to watch on Sunday? Ted?
Oh, easily that Sunday night primetime game between the Steelers and the Patriots. That's a potential playoff preview.
Yeah, way to take the easy one, Ted.
Right.
Good. Give me the two good teams. Woo-hoo-hoo. I'm I for some reason that San Francisco Tampa Bay game sticks out to me. I seriously think this could be a stupid final score where you're like, well, how did they score all these points? So, I mean, aside from the obvious ones, the Pittsburgh, New England, Houston, New Orleans, that San Francisco Tampa Bay game really intrigues me.
I like that pick a lot. I'm actually looking forward to checking that one out as well because I want to see how Garoppolo's doing and how Tampa looks with their new coach. Another game that is somewhat intriguing is Detroit at Arizona, but the one I'm really looking forward to watch is Atlanta at Minnesota. I want to see if the Falcons have turned it around and kind of get their stuff together and get going this year because they have the weapons on offense on that team. Their defense can't be worse. They're healthy now. And Minnesota, in my estimation, and as well as you guys know very well from our previous pods, I think they're the type of team that will struggle versus an offense like Atlanta's, and I want to see how this plays out. I don't know which way it's going to go. I am picking Atlanta to cover this at least, but I can't wait to see that one. I think that wraps up our picks for the week. We'll update you on how we did on our weekend review show next Tuesday or Wednesday, and we'll make picks for next week's games for week 2. For Joey and Ted, I am Paul. Thank you for listening. Check out our other pods and episodes. Hit like and subscribe.
Such a simple plan to follow.